Hi everyone, and welcome to another tutorial in the Tower Defense series here on www.unitycookie.com. In this tutorial we'll be looking at how you can set your turrets to be upgradable. So both the SAM turret that we currently have and the regular twin cannon turret, we'll be able to upgrade those, and you'll be able to apply this to any other turrets you might have in your game or that you add on later. So we'll do that and go over some also a little more advanced concepts, such as using classes, base classes for your scripts and extending those, which you'll be able to use in a lot of different tasks from here out. So that's definitely a good one to have. And take a look at this. We have just simple, nothing different here. I've changed the colors on the turrets, but now I can click on any one and upgrade it, or not. If I hit cancel, click on it, hit confirm, it upgrades to a new one. Now it just fires much faster. In this case I've added on, and I can upgrade it one more time. You also notice in this upgrade panel it shows the cost and a name. So those are two things you can add in there. You could take it out for your own if you like, or make it a little different, but just some extra stuff. You know, every time we work with the GUI, I try to add a few more items to it. So we can upgrade it to a mega turret, and now it just goes absolutely crazy. So let's take a look at how that's put together. The first thing to do, of course, is make a couple different versions of your turrets so that you can make the level 1, level 2, and level 3 versions of each. So just go ahead and drag and drop in. We'll start with the SAM, whichever one you'd like. And really here, you know, just to show, all I did was change the color, and then I set the turn speed, the reload time, and the fire pause time on mine, just to make them fire and turn a little quicker for each successive level. So I have level 2 and level 3. Then we also did a little bit of upgrading on the script and the special part, the turret base script, which these are now extending. So with extending scripts or classes, it's something that even I just got into pretty recently, but have found all sorts of uses for, and a lot of you are probably already familiar with it. If not, basically extending a script is just kind of like saying SUV extends car or something. It's just adding more detailed info onto a lower level class or concept or whatever it might be. So now what we have is this turret base script, and there's nothing fancy about this at all. It's simply a regular script called turret_base in this case. And on this I've dropped on some upgrade options, and these are going to be universal to any turret at all. They're going to all have these because it's the base script. So we have a upgrade, my upgrade, which is a game object, and that's going to reference the actual prefab that will be dropped in to replace this object when it's upgraded, or sorry, this turret when it's upgraded. We have the upgrade cost, obviously just the cost that it is to upgrade, and the name. So this is the name of the next level item. So again, that's where it shows upgrade to Super Sam or Mega Sam or Super Gigundus Super Duper Sam or whatever the next one is. That's where you drop the name in for it there. So this is the base script, and then we have in each for the turret SAM and the turret cannon. Now at the very top, let's go back to the SAM here. At the very top we have class turret SAM extends turret base. Here all you do is type in the name of the current script that you're upgrading. So in this case it's turret_SAM, then extends, and the name of the base script. So it's pretty straightforward, nothing fancy there at all. Turret SAM extends turret base, and then you have to put everything underneath there inside of the curly brackets. So just make sure that goes all the way down to the very bottom, encompassing everything entirely. And do the same for your turret cannon. You can use the name of the current script, extends whatever it's extending, in this case turret base. And this way, like I was saying, adds a lot of really good features where we can simply reference that base script. It'll have items on it that we don't have to use specific get component calls and go to either the turret SAM or the turret cannon and then go through a lot of just painful work with that. We can simply access the base and do a lot of stuff with this that would be very helpful. We'll see how this makes it work a little further on here. So going back to the actual items here, you'll see that on turret SAM level 1, we now have, of course, the my upgrade is filling in. You drop level 2 into the level 1 slot, then select the level 2 SAM and drop in the level 3 prefab into its upgrade. So again, this is just showing what comes next after each one into there. And then the same with the upgrade cost and the name. It's always showing the next one in line. On the final level, whichever that is, for me it's level 3, just make sure there's nothing in my upgrade, because we're later on going to use that as part of a check to make sure, should we be allowed to upgrade this, and it just checks if this is null, and if so, then it just doesn't do any kind of upgrade action. So it's a quick way to do that without having to add an extra boolean value or anything like that. Simply checks for null, very fast and simple. So do that for your turrets, your SAM turrets, and for the regular twin cannon turrets, same thing, or any other turrets you might have, or any structures at all. This should be pretty universal and work with all of them. And once you have that, we can move over to the level master script and start editing a little in there. And actually, let's move back a little ways to this placement plane script instead of the level master. This is a new one that you're going to add called placement plane, and this is just a script that will go onto each and every placement plane. So hopefully you still kept all of these as a prefab, so you can simply select the prefab here and drag and drop that plane onto it. Or sorry, that script called placement plane right onto it. And this has two items, simply a variable for isOpen, a boolean, and the variable myStructure, which is a game object. And if we look at the script itself, the structure is simply going to be whatever structure is on that plane, and obviously this is whether or not the plane is open. So we can use this in a couple different ways. Mainly if there's a structure on it, this will become closed, but also this will be useful in the future if we end up having enemies crossing over this or onto this plane. We want to be able to make sure that you can't place a turret on it. So as soon as an enemy walks onto it or anything at all, some sort of obstruction is on there, we can put that to false, and then you won't be able to, place a turret on there when you really shouldn't. There's something else already there. Or also for pathfinding, we could set that to, is false, so that you can't block off all paths for the AI. So a lot of uses for that in the future. That'll be coming up, but just so you're aware, that's where it is and how we'll be using it. Alright, so like I said, drop that onto the placement plane. Make sure you apply it to all of them, so they should have that on there. Nothing needs to go into this area yet. That'll be done through the script. Going back to the level master script, there's a couple things to edit in here. First of all, a new state, variable upgrade panel open, and this is just going to keep track of whether or not the upgrade panel is spawned in, tweened down and showing, and if we should allow certain things based on that. Down a bit, we also have some new GUI variables. We have the upgrade text, which is going to be text showing whether or how much it actually costs, and if you want to upgrade. We have the button, which is going to be the button that you click to confirm, yes, upgrade this item. And the upgrade panel tweener, which is going to reference the upgrade panel itself so that we can move it up and down. Looking at the NGUI side of things, we've added a bit here. And since we've gone through a lot of the NGUI UI bits, we don't really need to go over this exactly, but just to take a look at it, simply a background box with this text here, and this is again that upgrade text reference in the script. So a little bit up here, upgrade text. We have the upgrade button itself, which is the top level item for button yes, right there. And just drag and drop those both into the level master, right where they show up down here. So upgrade text, again that area there, and the upgrade button, the top level item in the button. Second, you'll need to make sure that the background is called background for the button, that is, and the label is called label, and that's because we're adding in a function a little later on that will specifically look for these named items. So just to make sure that you have those named just like that. This panel, the upgrade panel, is dropped under a center anchor, so you'll want to create a new anchor, make sure it's set to the center, and then inside of that there's just these two buttons, the text and the background box. So just put that all together pretty simply, and then on the panel upgrade, make sure you have a tween position script, and this is however you want to set it up. I usually like a duration pretty short, 0.25. That could even be a little faster probably to make the game go quicker. So we have that set, and then just based on the size of my screen as this works, I'm having it go from 420, so way up top, and then sliding down to the center, which is 0 since we have it set on a center anchor. Yours might be a little different depending on what your resolution size is, but that's what I found worked well if using the same 960 by 600. So just make sure that is set on the Y as the from, and then it's going to down here to 0. Lastly, you'll need to go to each of the buttons and make sure they have a UI button message on them, which as always you can add by going to Component, NGUI, Interaction, and then Button Message. And inside of there, for the button Yes, set the function name to Confirm Upgrade, and of course the target should be the Level Master. And on button No, again target Level Master and function name Cancel Upgrade. So with everything linked up there, we can move back to the Level Master script. And we'll need to add in a couple new variables as well, private variables that is. So these items here are just going to be used within the script, and we're adding them up in this area, not within some of the functions below or anything, because we want them to be available throughout the entire script, so we can use them in various places. But they don't need to show in the inspector at all or be linked visually by a drag and drop or anything like that. So we simply need a focused plane variable, and the type is placement planes. This is going to be a reference that we set to the placement plane script. So if you remember, we have that on each and every one of these placement planes. That will be used to reference those. We'll have a structure to upgrade private variable, and that's going to reference the turret base script, and this will be set based on the structure that we just clicked on that we want to upgrade. We have the upgrade structure, which is the structure that's about to be brought in to replace this structure to upgrade. And we have the upgrade cost, which is just going to be obviously the cost of the upgrade that we're trying to do. So once you have each of those set, we can move down a little ways to the input.get mouse button down area, so where we're checking the click to see if we just clicked on any one of the placement planes and do some work there. And here we're going to want to edit a little bit, so it looks like this. We're just checking whether we have a last hit object, and now we also want to check if the upgrade panel is open or not. So if you remember, that was the state that we added in a little further up, upgrade panel at the top here. Naturally, we don't want to let any kind of extra actions happen while the upgrade panel is open. If it's open, we should only allow the confirm or cancel actions to happen from the buttons. We don't want to be placing any new turrets or jumping into another update loop somehow. So we'll just make sure it's not open, and then we'll do this stuff down here. We've changed this a bit, so now we have that focused plane variable, again the one we added just a bit ago, right up there. And we're setting in a reference to the placement plane script on the currently selected plane. So this is the one that we're hovering over and just click down on. So that could be we're clicking to add a new turret, or we're clicking on a turret to upgrade it. Either way, we're dropping that our reference to that plane, the script on it, into this variable, which we can then access throughout the script. Then we check if it's open. So going back to the placement plane, once again it has the boolean is open. It starts out as true anytime we add something onto that. Or, in the future, if something happens to roll over it or whatnot, we're going to set it to false. So anyway, we're checking to make sure it's open so we can actually place something on this. There's nothing there already. And of course, this is the same as before. We have enough cache to add it. Then we go through and add the structure. Doing things a little bit differently here just to work with the new system. So first of all, the focusPlane.my structure, that's this variable here inside of the placement plane, We're setting that as the new structure that we're creating. So this would be the turret or building or whatever it is that we're creating. It's now going to be dropped into that plane's myStructure variable. And then of course we set the isOpen down to false so that we know that we can't place another item there. It's filled up. Same cache count minus, dropping down the cache and updating the GUI. Nothing changed there. So that's dropping in a new turret, changed a little bit. Now we have a new area where we're going to check if that, so if this fails up here, so that means either we don't have enough money to drop in a new turret, or more likely the plane is not open, then we're going to first of all check if that plane has a structure on it already. So we just clicked on a plane and it has a structure, so this does not equal null. Then we're going to show the upgrade GUI. So this will just bring down that panel that we created so that we can show it, make it appear in the GUI so we can click some buttons on it, all that good stuff. So scrolling down, also you'll notice here I've left in the old method in case anyone needs it for reference. So that's there, just in case. Moving down, we have the show upgrade GUI that's called whenever we're going to check whether or not to upgrade this turret that we clicked on. So the first thing we do is get the structure to upgrade. So we just set that variable. Again, going back just to make sure we have this all, that's this private variable here. Then we're going to use the upgrade structure and the upgrade cost further on. Go back to where we were. Okay, so the structure to upgrade, so that's the one that we just clicked on, and that's going to get the structure from the focused plane. And it's pulling out the turret base script. And this is where those classes come in handy, because if we clicked on any turret, we wouldn't automatically know necessarily what component to get. So it could be, you know, a turret underscore SAM for a script, or turret underscore twin cannon for script, or any other item. This way, since we have that base script of turret base, which the others, the turret SAM and so forth, now extend, we can simply reference that directly, and we always know we're getting the correct item. So that helps out there. Then, of course, we can grab the upgrade structure from that script that we just picked up. So that's the upgrade structure inside of here, the my upgrade object. And then moving down a bit, here's where we check if there's actually something to upgrade to. So that's why on your top level upgrade, in my case it was the level 3 item. Go back and look at that here. I left this my upgrade entirely empty. So this is just going to check if it's null, then don't do anything at all. We obviously can't upgrade it, so don't show the upgrade panel here. Don't do anything, nothing to do. Otherwise, so it's not null, there's actually an item in that upgrade slot. First thing we'll do is set the upgrade panel boolean to true, so that means that the script will now know we're in the upgrade panel. We don't want to allow anything else to happen other than the upgrade options. We'll set the upgrade cost to the upgrade cost that we pull out of, again, the turret base script on each one. And the upgrade name, same thing, coming out of the turret base script that each one has, so each one is extending. Something I'm just realizing might be a little bit confusing here. So obviously there's only one turret base script, and it's not actually attached to each turret. And I guess, sorry, I should have gone over this a little more before, but basically whenever you have a script that's extending something, it just drops all of its variables into the script as if it's part of it. So looking at the turret SAM script, I don't actually have these items in the turret SAM script. The upgrade cost, my upgrade, and upgrade name, they're not here. They're just right within the base. But when I extend it like this, do the, turret SAM extends turret base, then they just get dropped in here so I can edit them per object. Anyway, going back, that probably makes sense to most people if you've dealt with classes before. Again, I know for me they're actually fairly new, but you'll come to love them the more you use them, and hopefully make sense. So anywho, we're going to set the upgrade text, which is just the text in the GUI item here. So we're going to set that to show upgrade to, then the upgrade name, and then the upgrade cost. Down below that, we're going to do a new function, cost check button, and we're going to pass through the upgrade button and the upgrade cost. So once again, the upgrade button is this button here, the confirm button, and the upgrade cost is whatever cost we've pulled off of the structure. So this function, all the way down at the bottom, this is a new one that I've added in, and I'm thinking we'll have use for in the future. So instead of just running this through and each and every time that we want to check the cost on something and set the button to active or not active, you can just use this now. And this will take the button that we send and a cost and apply a couple things to it. First of all, it just checks, is the cash count less than the item cost? So if we can't afford this item, then we go ahead and find the label. And if you remember, this is why I was saying on the button yes and no, make sure the text inside of the button is called label and the background area is called background. So we can jump in there, do a transform.find. So it's real quick. It's just searching down through the transform, not a GameObject.find or anything heavy like that. So we're just jumping down there, find the label, get the UI label component on it, and set the color to red. So we're setting the text to red. Then we'll set the background color to just a, sort of a grayed out, inactive looking color. And of course we make the collider enabled false, or not enabled, so that we can't click on it at all. Otherwise, so if we do have enough money, then we're going to make sure and set the color to green, so that's a text color. We'll set the background color to the on color, which we're reusing from the buttons over here. If you remember, we have the on and off colors for those. We're just reusing the color, the on color, to keep things consistent. You could use something else if you'd rather. And then, set the collider enabled to true, so that we do have a collider, this button is active. And using this function will save you a lot of time and trouble and make sure there aren't, just floating mistakes around in your script, so that whenever you're doing something, maybe purchasing new items, buying upgrades and so forth, you can always just do it right through this singular function. Okay, so once again, checking that button, turn it on or off, depending if we have enough money. And then we just play down the upgrade panel. So looking at the upgrade panel, make sure with this that the tween position is not on first of all. Of course, it shouldn't. If you have the tween position turned on, it'll come down instantly when the game starts. You don't want that. Make sure it's off. And again, going back, make sure the Y is set to something, or however you have it moving left or right, up or down. Mine's moving, or it starts up and then moves down to 0. So as soon as we do the play true, it's going to play it forward. So it'll go from the from values to the to values. And then when we hide it, it'll be false, obviously, and it'll go backwards. So once that comes down, let's take a look at it in game here. So I drop in a turret, click on it, this comes down. Now we have our actual buttons ready. It's bright green because we can purchase it. And if I look on the button yes, once again under UI button message, if you remember, we connected it to the level master and we set the function name as confirm upgrade. So as soon as they click on this button here, it'll confirm the upgrade. On the button no item, it will call cancel upgrade on the level master script. So back in here, we have those matching functions, confirm upgrade and cancel upgrade. Confirm upgrade is going to do a couple things, a little more complex than cancel, obviously. We get the position of the structure that we just clicked on. We get the rotation of it. And we want to grab these first because we're going to destroy it next, destroying that old one that we're upgrading, and then just spawn in a new structure that is the upgrade structure, the one we want to drop in to replace it. Then of course we need to set that new structure as the focus plane's my structure, so that the focus plane still knows it has something on it. Otherwise, when you try to click on it, is open would be set to false still, but it wouldn't find a structure, so it just wouldn't show the upgrade panel. So make sure you set that as well. Just below that, of course, we need to subtract the cash amount that this upgrade cost, update the GUI, and then play the upgrade panel backwards. So just we're playing it false, so it'll go back from the 0 center position back up to 420 or whatever yours might be, out of the way, and then set the upgrade panel open to false so the game knows that that panel is no longer open. If we cancel that upgrade, very simple, we're just going to play it backwards and set the panel open to false. So the game again knows it's no longer open. So with any of these items, whether the SAM turret or the missile launcher turret, I can click on it, I can cancel the upgrade alright. When I click around, it doesn't accidentally place turrets. I can confirm the upgrade. Any amount, it shows the cost, the proper cost, and the proper name for the next one. And I can upgrade it to these ridiculously overpowered turrets that I've added. And the same for each of these. So there you have it. You can now upgrade your turrets just fine, and you can of course apply that to any other structures you might have in your game. If you have any defensive structures or something like that, you can apply it just fine to there. And we now have that new handy cost check for the buttons, so if you're purchasing inventory or whatnot, you can use it for that as well. And classes, hopefully the classes all made sense. It can be a little confusing at first, I'm sure, so just ask questions in the forums if you have any. or on the actual video thread. And thanks for watching. See you in the next one.